Hello, Brovs. This is a pretty interesting find. The murder of Helen Jewett, which became a sensation in 1836. Jewett was a prostitute and worked in a New York City brothel. She became involved with one of the patrons who eventually murdered her. As I said, the story became a huge sensation, and the interesting part to me, well, I guess it's not so much an interesting part, but it is interesting. But the intriguing part, I would say, is that she was well read. And amongst her books in the place of her slaughter were a copy, let me turn off this light, of Lalla Rookh, which I will show you what it looked like, similar to that. That's an 1817 copy of it. And let's read what it says. Bennett's companion, a young lawyer named William Wilder, talked further to Rosina Townsend, who sat on the sofa talking of Ellen, and recounting her tale of the night of the murder. Meanwhile, Bennett wandered through the house and reported on more props of sin, in addition to the mirrors and rich sofas he had previously described. He revisited Helen's bedroom. The body was gone, buried the day before on Monday morning, and the room now was a chaotic mess from the police search. Under a boot, he found a well-read copy of Lalla Rookh, an epic poem first published in 1817 by the English poet Thomas Moore. The romantic plot of which involves a Persian princess journeying to her prearranged marriage who falls in love with a servant in her caravan, only to find at journey's end that the servant is none other than her prince in disguise. A volume of poems by Fitz Greene Halleck, a popular New York poet and member of the Knickerbocker Circle of Literary Lights in the 1820s, had every page cut as evidence of it having been read thoroughly. Let's take a look. That's Lalla Rookh. This is what one of Fitz Greene Halleck's books would have looked like. Let's see what else it says. Under a velvet dress, the inquisitive editor uncovered copies of Don Juan and Beppo by Lord Byron with passages underscored. Bennett even rifled around in the bloodied bed sheets. And we'll get to that in a second. So that's about what it would have looked like, her book. 1829 copy, 2-volume set of Don Juan. Back to the story. In the bloodied bed sheets, found a London edition of a recent book by Lady Blessington, Flowers of Loveliness, apparently unharmed by the fire. She was burned, too, after she was axed to death. Lady Blessington was a romantic writer who had recently published or produced a literary biography of Lord Byron. Her own life suggested a model for Helen's. Starting out as a servant girl, Lady Blessington capitalized on her ambition, beauty, and determination to flaunt traditional morality to gain entry to the leading literary circles of Britain and a title in the process. And there's a copy of Flowers of Loveliness. 40 groups of female figures. Maybe that isn't it. Yeah, it is. The Countess of Blessington. Bennett also added 2 weekly literary periodicals, the New York Mirror and the Albion, along with the monthly Ladies' Companion, to the list of Helen's subscription reading he had noted in his first tour of the room. You know what newspapers look like. I will show you the Mirror, though, just to put a fine point on it. The New York Mirror, a weekly journal devoted to literature and the fine arts. So yeah, that was her TBR list before she was axe murdered.